Thank you, Sonny. She had to do that without a microphone at 9 o'clock service. Sort of a humble brag. She was showing off her lung power, though. I get sorted here. That's what I want. So, good morning. Seems like it's been forever. It's only been 2 weeks since I've been up here visiting with you guys, but I've missed you so much. And it's April. It's the second week in April. And our theme for the month is sort of a Buddhist concept of the four immeasurables. And those are equanimity, love, compassion, and joy. And the theme for this week is planting the seeds of love. And I want to get back to the four immeasurables, but for me, the Buddhist teaching is just filled with these great stories. And a quintessential story is always a young man or a young woman studying under a very old master, learning the ways of wisdom that the master has studied from his masters. And this was a story, and it's interesting because these young boys and girls, they're sort of like the ones we raised. They're sort of rambunctious, full of energy. In my day, they used to call us precocious or something like that. And so this was the same with this young man. And his master was coming back in just a bit, and he was doing what youngsters do and playing and running. And he ran against the table, and he knocked the master's precious teacup off the table and it broke into pieces. Now, this was not just any teacup. This was a teacup that the master's master had given him. And the master's master had been given from his master. This is a multi-generational, very reverent teacup. So the young man, as we tend to do when we're young, was quick thinking on his feet. The master came, and he hid the teacup behind his back. Didn't know what to do, right? We've all been there. And so he asked the master very astute questions. He said, "Master, why do people die?" And the master, being a good Buddhist master, didn't answer right away. He had a very thoughtful expression. Very slowly tells them, "It's just natural. Everything dies." And the little kid's face lit up. He says, "That makes me so happy. It was time for your teacup to die." And so, but those stories are great, especially the funny ones like that. Because it just shows that in all this spiritual stuff that we teach, it's just life. So anyway, we're getting back to the four immeasurables. We're going to talk about the seeds of love. And we're just starting a class on studying the roots and where the science of mind came from. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of the science of mind philosophy, which he liked to refer to as the science of mind and spirit, recognized very much so there was another leg of that. It's just not a philosophy. There's the science of love engaged in that. And so love is something that is our divine inheritance. And it's not us just being a loving person. We are the essence of love coming straight from the divine through us. And Ernest even went more forward and said that love is an integral part of the creative experience itself. So Ernest told us this. He said, "The life that has not loved has not lived. It is still dead. Love is the sole impulse for creation, and the one that has not love at the very center of life has never developed the real creative instinct." And the Bible tells us that God is love, and they that dwell in love dwell in God, and God in them. And so this love that we have embedded in us is a very powerful thing. And there's a lot of things that are going on in the world, and we can use this love that's embedded in us to change things. There's nothing as powerful as this unconditional spiritual love. And like I said, it's not us just being a loving person. It's us taking that greatness from within ourselves and bringing it forth into our experience. And it's a very powerful thing that we can be. But we all love this mountaintop experience. We all love to teach the mountaintop lessons and to absolutely know on some level, every one of you know what I just said is the truth, that you are the essence of love and you felt it at some point in time. But we tend to drift, don't we? We tend to forget that. We tend to get distracted with the ways of the world. And what happens is what we would call the ego syndrome comes in there. What the ego wants to do is wants to control things. And the ego will whisper to you, if I control things, you'll be happy and joyous. But in my mind, I've never seen anyone that was truly happy and joyous by controlling things. It's just the opposite. So the ego knows one way, and we absolutely know another way. And it's coming up to Easter time, that was the great teaching of Jesus. Because we teach that Jesus was the great example, not the great exemption. And what Jesus came here to teach was not to fulfill the old scripture again and again. Jesus came here to teach what I was just talking about, that we have this direct connection with the divine and that we are love ourselves. And when we reach in and touch that and express that in the world, it's a powerful tool that we can use to change the world. Our expression of this beautiful thing that we call love. But we tend to drift. And for me, how many of us have been in a store and we just had 5 things and we need to get out and there's a line that says, quick checkout, 12 items or less. And you get there and someone's got a lot of items. And the last time that had happened to me, the person had 25 items. And how did I know? Because I counted every one of them. So, am I being this beautiful, loving expression? I don't think so. I'm drifting. But if I thought of maybe it's one of our beloved members of this church, our family members, they were having a hard day, and God bless them, just let them take it. But we do tend to drift, and we do tend to isolate. There's a very poignant story that I heard Dr. Roger Teal tell, and he's the just retired minister at Mile High, where our beloved Reverend Josh went, about a boys' school, the headmaster of boys' school, that wanted his students to make a deeper connection. And the boys' school was the Roxbury Latin Boys School. I believe it's back east. And his students were good students, but they were all sort of from an affluent society. And the headmaster wanted them to make a connection with someone totally different than themselves. So he gave them this opportunity, and 6 of his seniors stepped up and accepted it. These boys went and became pallbearers, and a man that had just passed, a homeless man. And so the story is it's hot and sticky, and they were in their best suits, carrying the man's casket to the gravesite. It's a very simple casket, pine plywood casket, nothing fancy on it. And they did it, and they get to the gravesite and lift it down. And they've been coached by the minister that's presiding and the funeral director. And what's theirs to do, they put the flower on it, but what was theirs to do is to have something very meaningful, very personal to themselves, to send this gentleman on his way to the next life experience in a meaningful way. And they got together and all wrote something together. And this is what it said. It said, "Dear Lord, thank you for opening our hearts and our minds to the work of mercy. We are here to bear witness to the life and the passing of Nicholas Miller. He died alone with no family to comfort him. But today, We are his family, and we are here as his sons. We are honored to stand before him now to commemorate his life, to remember him in death, and commend his soul to your perfect care. And as you might hear, that might have been a life-changing experience, and when they followed back up with each of the boys, it was. They followed up for years and years and years, and they kept saying that that experience changed my life forever. And that's about reaching a connection to someone you no longer or have never met. It's about bringing that power of love that you have and bringing it into the world in such a way that you can not only change their lives, but you can change your own lives forever. So my challenge to you is, go find your own perfect connection where you can share that expression of love that you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Michael. Isn't my husband handsome? He got new suits today, or yesterday. I'm not as funny as he is, so bear with me. I want to share a story with you. I love the four immeasurables. This is why I was inspired to create this month's theme as planting the seeds, just planting the seeds, because it's all around us. That's what we're doing at this time of year. We're seeing them grow and bloom. And four seeds that are so intricate in planting in our lives and in our world are immeasurable loving kindness, immeasurable joy, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable equanimity. And so that's my intention for us this month, is that we begin planting those seeds, those immeasurable seeds, and watch them grow in our lives. So I want to share a story with you, not a funny joke story, but I want to share a story with you. It comes from the 17th century. There was a Japanese Zen Buddhist master, and his name was Banki, and I can't pronounce his last name, I'm sorry. But he was very well revered. And so he would have these isolation meditation groups every couple times a year, and only some people would get to hear about it. And so people came from all over Japan to go to these one-week seclusion meditation retreats. So all the students were there, and they were learning and growing and meditating. And one day, one of the students saw another student stealing. So he goes and tells Banki, he says, this man's a thief, and we have to expel him. And Banki just kind of disregarded the student and went on his way. But then the next day, that man, he stole again. And again, the student went to the Zen master and said, you know what, I've had it. He needs to go. He stole again. And Banki again just dismissed it. And so the rest of the students there, they created a petition. And they all signed it, and it said, either this thief leaves, or the rest of us are going to leave. Yeah, she's cold. This is Nancy, everybody. So Banki, the Zen master, he brings everybody into the room, and he's reading this petition. And he looks out at all of these men, and he says, you are wise. You men are wise, and you know right from wrong. So go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. Because this man here, he doesn't even know right from wrong. And who is going to teach him if I don't? So he is going to stay. And if you want to go, you go. And they all just, like, their jaws dropped, their eyes were open, they felt horrible. And the man, the thief, he just started crying tears of love, that he had finally felt that seed of love that was planted in him from that Zen master. And it said that it transformed everything, that his desire to steal vanished from that point on. And I just thought this was a really profound example of what planting these seeds of immeasurable loving kindness can do. Do you like, I love saying that. Like, I can't say this word without being dramatic. Say this with me. Immeasurable loving kindness. Say that. Immeasurable loving kindness. Like, that's so much, right? You can never have enough. Immeasurable loving kindness. It's like, I just love it. I don't know why. It makes me feel like, it's not going to end, Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, he once said that there are seeds planted within each one of us, seeds of love, and that we can cultivate those seeds to create unconditional love, which is love without exception and love no matter what. And this was really profound. This is what he said. He says, when you get to know anyone deeply, even those who have hurt you, even those who you have resentment towards, even those who have been painful and mean to you, you cannot help but love them. When you get to know someone deeply, you cannot help but love them. Have you ever had that experience where somebody hurt you, or you just didn't feel good energy with them, or they were just being a jerk, and then somehow or another you got to know them, you got to know their story, you got to know what was behind all that? Has that ever happened to you? And did it make you appreciate, or at least be able to have empathy for? Yeah. That's that immeasurable loving kindness. It's a desire for us to be happy and well. That is the intention. When I share my loving kindness with you, it is me saying, I desire that you be happy and well. And we all desire to be happy and well, right? But how many of us feel it all day, every day? Okay, it's not just me. Okay. Okay. The thing of it is that life is full of all these things that we can't control, like Reverend Michael said, right? There's so much we can't control. But the one thing we can control is our happiness. It might not feel like it. It might feel like all these people and experiences and bosses and husbands and wives and situations steal our happiness away from us. But it's just not possible, because we're in charge of our thoughts. We're in charge of our emotions. There's a book we're reading that says that the commitment is to be 100% responsible. It says, I am 100% responsible for my emotional well-being, my physical well-being, my spiritual well-being, my mental well-being. I am 100% responsible. And in doing that, how do we do that? How do we become responsible for that? Daily spiritual practice. Daily spiritual practice. I don't care what it is you do. I'm going to give you two options that I use that are simple and easy to remember. But it doesn't matter. If you take just one moment of your day, hopefully in the morning so it can be the foundation, but if you just take one moment of your day to allow yourself to sit or dwell on truth, on the truth of yourself, that truth with a capital T, it will begin to change everything. Who here has a daily spiritual practice? Has it changed everything? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So there's two that I want to share with you that have transformed my life, because I don't want to share anything that I haven't already tried out, right? It's like when you fail enough times, you figure out what works. So you guys don't have to do all the failing. I did it for you. So, so the first one is about cultivating loving kindness for ourselves. And I used to have this really big idea, or it was a really stubborn idea, that all these people who said that you had to be able to love yourself if you were ever going to love somebody else was full of crap, okay? Because I totally felt like I could love other people. I totally felt like I loved my kids and my family and and everyone. But I just didn't love me because I wasn't good enough, or I had really crappy feelings about myself, or I didn't do right, or I was a failure, so I don't need to love myself, but I can really love somebody else. And then I had a practitioner come to me when I told her my opinion, and she goes, try this, Nicole, just try it. And I really respected her, so I was like, oh God, I'm gonna try it. So she goes, just go look at yourself in the mirror 3 times a day, probably when you're going to the bathroom, and go stand there and look at the reflection. and look into their eyes and say, I love you. I love you, Nicole. And the first few times I did that, I'm looking in the reflection, I'm saying, I don't see anything but pain looking back at me. I don't see anything but somebody I don't want to be, somebody who's failed and who's done wrong and who's just, blah. But I kept trying because I really, really had respect for this woman. And so I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and day after day after day. And one day I looked at her, that girl in the mirror, and I looked into her eyes, and I saw spirit. I saw the person, the essence, that light behind, before all the crap that got put on it. I saw that person who is perfection, who is the beloved's beloved, and I saw her in the mirror, and I thought, oh, God, I love you. I love that person. I love looking into your eyes and seeing that light of spirit. And then what ended up happening was that I did love people more. It was in a way that was completely different and new. It was like I could go into a grocery store or somewhere, anywhere, and look at you and love you because I look into your eyes and I see spirit. I see that light of life within you, and I know, and I'm reminded. And that's very simple. It might not be easy for us, but it's a very simple practice to remember. Are any of you freezing in here? I'm totally freezing. Turn the air off, guys. I see people bundling up. So the second spiritual practice, I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with, the loving kindness meditation. Any of you? Yeah. So I've kind of shortened it and condensed it so that we can practice it together. And so we went from this developing loving kindness for ourselves to now being able to do that with others and for others. So I invite you to just join me in this journey and know that the words that we're using are intentions. They are intentions for the other person or for ourselves. So let's just close our eyes for a minute and get comfortable. And you can practice this at home if you'd like and take as long as you want. Just breathe. And in your mind's eye, I just want you to visualize yourself walking up to yourself and standing there. And I invite us to say to ourselves in our mind's eye, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. And then we can invite someone that we love into our mind's eye. And we can visualize them standing there and feel the love that we have for them. And we can set our intention for them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. And feeling that energy and that love just exuding from us for ourselves and for that person that we love, we hold that within us. And we imagine someone who has harmed us, who has done us wrong, who we hold resentment towards, maybe a coworker, maybe a family member. And as much as it might be uncomfortable, we bring them into our vision. And we look into their eyes and know that that is the eyes of a divine intelligence. And so we say, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. And then we say to the world, to the earth and all the sentient beings within it, may we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from suffering. May we all be well. And you can open your eyes. I love this experience because normally I would say that 3 times, and there's a little bit more language to it, and it really it's really profound to me because it brings me to a place through the process where I can meet that person who I feel has hurt me, the person I'm holding resentment towards, and I can, at that point, after experiencing the accumulation of that loving kindness, to share it with them, to set that intention for them. Doesn't mean we're forgiving them. It means that we're intending that they be filled with that loving kindness and that they're free from suffering. Because that's the desire we all have. And so if we are serious about finding happiness and wellness in our life, if we are legit serious about this, then we have to step up. We have to put our spirituality into action and begin to practice and practice and practice and practice. Because sometimes I'm going to be a jerk. Sometimes you're going to be hurtful to someone. Sometimes you're going to say the wrong thing. But we continue to practice and practice and practice because it's never going to end. And every time that we practice, we get a little bit deeper. We get a little bit mentally stronger. We get a little bit more spiritual muscle. And it helps us move through those times a little bit smoother. Are you on board? Yes? Okay. So, you have homework. You can pick one of the two, and I am going to email you both of these spiritual practices. So if you're not on our email list, it's right out front. So sign up, and I will send them to you, and I hope that we all practice this week together, because we are sent here now. We are the beings here now to plant the seeds of love for humanity now. And we are the ones who are called to this place to do that together. Are you on board? Yes. You with me? Yes. Okay, let's pray. Oh. Just in this energy of love and joy and power, I speak my word of spiritual authority, knowing that the goodness of life that is expressing all around us is that beautiful Mother Nature who's always caring and taking care of us, and that beautiful Father universe that is compiling with her, and they are together within our body and our mind, and we are that masculine, feminine energy that is colliding and creating and loving. We are one. Every one of us is one in spirit, and we are so unique and different that we are like every different flower, different snowflake. We are the greatness of life. There is a mighty, mighty good. And it is showing up here, and it is showing up through my voice. It is showing up through your voice. It is showing up through our hands and our hearts and everything that we do. And I feel this energy lifting and moving and sending impulse waves out into the world. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Yes, thank you more, please, life. Yes, thank you more, please. And so it is. So it is. Amen.